take the longest 30 miles.
Well, hello out there, everybody in YouTube land. We be just about an hour or so west of Memphis, Tennessee, and it is snowing. Give you an idea, when I pulled in here about an hour ago, there wasn't any snow on the ground. None. It is coming down. Listen to the CB, these guys talk on that are still out there on the highway. I just heard a guy say something about whiteout conditions, so I think 65 miles an hour is out. Also saying that they can't see the lines on the road anymore. So not a good night to be trucking. I'm glad I found me a parking spot. I'm all in here nice, warm, and toasty. Life is good. But you can see how fast my windshield goes bad. Just running this. But it is flat, coming down with some snow. My dogs are fed. I've been fed. We got full fuel tanks, full bellies. Life is good. But the weather is wicked. I know that parking is awful hard to get the closer you get to Memphis. So I actually stopped about 90 miles before I got to Memphis. The only problem I have, I prefer to go all the way to the shipper or the receiver and do my 10-hour break there. That way when I get up in the morning and check in, bump the dock, load or unload, I'm not on the clock. I get to save all that time for driving time. That's how I run those kind of miles, folks. And I know everybody's going to jump on, well, that ain't legal, nah. Well, don't know what to say about that, but that's the way I do it. I got 11 hours a day to drive, and I want those to be driving, not sitting in a dock, so that's the reason why I do it that way. I've had, DOT look at and I've been on ELDs for a year, and I've had DOT at an inspection look at my logs and how I do things, and I have never ever had a officer or an inspector or anything question me about my logs. They just look through them and go, good, all good. They mainly just want to make sure that your time is inside the parameters. Now, one time DOT officer up in Minnesota was looking at my logs, and what he does is he just kind of climbs up in the cab and looks over my shoulder and tells me to bring my logs up and then show him the actual graph and time chart for the day. And I pull that up and he looks at it and he goes, previous, so you flip to the previous day. All he's doing is looking at those numbers in the right-hand column to make sure that they're all correct, no more than 14 hours on duty, 11 hours driving time, 10-hour break, 30-minute break. Those are the only things he's really looking for. At least that's been my experience. Now, I'm sure if you cop an attitude with them, they could look a lot closer. But, I figure, I'm doing a job, they're doing a job, we're all just doing our job. Ain't no reason being an asshole or giving anybody a hard time. So, I'm pretty nice and friendly about it whenever I go through that. And maybe that's the reason why I don't have much of a hassle. But this one DOT officer up in Minnesota, he was looking at my logs. And on one 24-hour period, I had 11 hours and 12 minutes of driving time. And He wasn't even going to write me a ticket or nothing for it. He goes, son, you got to watch that. That's 12 minutes over right there. He goes, you got to be careful about that. And I was looking at it and I thought, I'm not out of compliance here. And he took a harder look at it and he goes, oh, you got an 8-2 split in there, don't you? And I said, yes, sir. He goes, pardon me, you're absolutely correct. Anyway, it is downright snowing. Be interesting what it's like getting out of here in the morning. I've been watching videos on about getting your own authority, what that's all involved in. You know, I played owner-operator back in the 80s and 90s, but it's a little different. The way that I got into trucking as an owner-operator, I actually owned a company. Wasn't a trucking company. We were a manufacturer and a service company. And the reason why I was an owner-operator is I was hauling my own product. Now this hauling other people's product for hire, this is a little bit different ball game as far as getting loads, how you do that, the insurances that are involved, all the regulations for being a commercial carrier. So it's pretty well involved. I think it's kind of like anything else though I've done in business. When you first start looking at it, it seems a little overwhelming. But the more you look at it, the easier it gets. So I really don't think it's something that you ought to let intimidate you. The big thing to me is...
Yeah, I think I better dig on them now.
Little talk and chatter on CB there. I got one advantage compared to a lot of guys going into this on authority. I don't have any home bills. And I don't have any reason to go home. There's no wife or kids or anything waiting for me at the house. You've heard me say it before. I think it's funny when I say it. The only thing I got to do at home is sit at the house and pet the dogs. And you watch my videos, you know my dogs go with me, so there's absolutely no reason for me to go to the house. Even my cattle. My cattle are all with a breeder, and I'm paying a maintenance fee, and we got a business deal to split the calves, and they're doing the breeding, and they're all still my cows. But I've turned it around to where I'm totally hands off with my cows now. I'm just the money guy. That's a scary thought. It reminds me of the story of the farmer they were interviewing back here in Oklahoma. He won a couple $100 million on the lottery. And they asked him, they said, so now that you got a couple $100 million, Mr. Farmer, what do you think you'll do? He goes, well, I guess I'll just keep farming till it's gone. God, that's the awful truth. Blessing in it, though. Do what you love, man. I love this OTR stuff. I love this lifestyle. To me, living in a truck is... I think it's cool. I ain't got no problem with it. I basically live in a truck. Some people would probably think that's shameful. I don't know. It ain't their life to live, it's mine. And I like this one. I absolutely do love this, folks. This is just too cool for school. One of the videos I shot, you might have seen it, going across I-80. It was blue skies, but the wind was just a howling. 60 plus miles an hour wind gust, crosswind driving down the road. Truck got a little tippy. There were slick spots and there was blowing snow. In the video, it doesn't look that bad. I'm going to tell you, in person, it looked like hell. And that's funny about that I-80 corridor up there going from Utah to Cheyenne, Wyoming. And I know you've seen the videos on it. You've seen the pictures of it. All the trucks laid over in the wind. Here's the deal. Every time I've driven I-80 across there, I've been heavy. I think the lightest I ever went across there was 43,000 pounds in the box. So every time I run I-80, it's really not that big of a deal because I am heavy. I like running heavy. I can't imagine trying to... Remember, there were signs that said high-profile vehicles, lightweight, high-profile vehicles prohibited. And what's crazy about that is the only thing I saw flipped over in the center median on I-80 were camper trailers. People dragging a lightweight camper trailer, you know, a 30-foot camper or whatever. The wind just pick it up and toss that camper and drag pickup over in the center median with it. But those areas like that are those high wind areas and treacherous driving, don't think that that's all of I-80, all 348 miles of it across there, because it's not. That high wind area, that's created by the wind coming over those mountains, going over the top and coming around the sides and coming all back together in that one spot. So those high wind areas, out of 348 miles, you'll drive through a patch that's 12, 15 miles long of high winds, and then it'll be nice driving for 100 miles or so. And then you'll come to another patch where it's 12 or 15 miles. That's 3 different places on I-80 that's like that. So out of 348 miles, you got 45 miles of a high wind, treacherous driving. And it's even broke up so it's only 15 miles at a time. And for all you guys out there driving, y'all know that ain't near as big a deal as a lot of people like to make it. Although I will tell you, whenever you get out here in the weather, or in the high winds or stuff like that, all of a sudden everybody becomes an expert and everybody wants to tell you how to drive. You hear a lot of that going on the CB. There's a lot of people that think awful highly of themselves and think they're pretty special and they're better than everybody else. Of course, no matter what you do, you're going to run into them folks. Where was I? Oh, I was coming down I-84, coming down into Utah, and I was heavy, 45,000 pounds in the box. There was a guy that was in front of me. He was also in a governed truck. But my governed truck was just 1 or 2 miles an hour faster than his. Now when you're in the hills and the mountains, if you've ever been in that situation, that can be pretty frustrating. Because you're stuck behind a guy, you really don't have the power to get around him, you don't have the speed to get around him. You can get around him, but you're kind of being an asshole to everybody behind you, so you got to kind of watch driving your rearview mirrors for a while. Find a nice open length, because it may take you a mile to get around this guy. So you don't want to be blocking everybody else out for a mile or two anyway. Anyway, I was driving my mirrors, and I waited till I had a big long gap. And I could see an old boy in a long-nosed Pete. He was way back here. You know, he was a couple miles behind me when I decided I was going to go around that truck in front of me. And I did it just as I come over the top of the hill, because when you're heavy, you can go down the hill really quick. That's when you want to pass somebody. So So as we come over the top of the hill, I put my foot in it, jumped out there in the left lane, started coming around. And I was coming around pretty good. So that old boy that I was trying to pass, he was heavy also, and we were both running down the highway in the 70s. I'm not going to tell you where we were exactly, but we were boogieing on down the side of that mountain. Unfortunately, before I was able to get all the way past him, I ran out of downhill. Hit the bottom, we started going uphill. Now, normally in that situation where I'd been unsuccessful, I'd probably brake, drop back in behind him, and give it another shot later on. But one thing I've learned about these little Peterbilts with these MX-13 motors in them, they can flat pull going up a hill. It seems like I can just about outpull anybody going up the hill with this little... I've never been a pack car fan. I'm going to tell you, I'm a Cummins guy. Or a Cat. Of course, the day of the Cat, I think, is long gone. But today, I'd have to say I'm a Cummins guy. But these little Petes we're driving, they've got pack cars in them. And I've been downright impressed with this little motor. Man, when you're lugging some weight behind you and you got to go up a hill... I'm outrunning everybody up the hill. I'm impressed with the motor. It doesn't have any problems. It hasn't had any mechanical problems in any one of these trucks I've had. I've gone through 3 of them so far, and they've all been just ticky-tacky tight motors and never drop a fluid or oil, or I mean, they're just as maintenance free as they come. Checking the oil on them every day is just an act of redundancy, I tell you. But anyway, so back to my story. So running up the hill, I decided just stay my foot in it. It'll take me a minute, but I'm going to get around this old boy going up the hill. I wonder if I can do it this way. Maybe I can get some fluid on there. Oh, crap. My windshield wipers are going to freeze. I'm going to have to bust the ice off of them in the morning. So we go up this hill. I know I can well, I've got a pretty good idea. I'm going to outpull him up this hill, but it's going to take me a minute to get around him. So I'm getting around him, and I'm just about around him. Well, the old boy in the long-nosed Pete, the large car, he's dragging a bottom hopper. And he was obviously empty because he started climbing on me fast. And I watched him. I saw he was coming. I was getting out of his way as fast as I could. You know, I was conscious of the situation. I knew I needed to let him by. But I was doing everything in my power to make that happen. Must have been a young guy or whatever. And anyway... Normally it wouldn't have bothered me, but he grabbed the CB mic and goes, "Hey, you stupid, no, get your ass out of the way." Normally, I wouldn't even respond to such people. But I just wasn't in the mood for it that day. So I picked up the mic and fired it back. And I said, "Brother, I don't know who you think you are, but God didn't make you any more special than He made any of the rest of us. You can sit your ass back here and wait. You can wait your turn just like the rest of us." I expected that we were going to have some CB Rambo crap going on for a while after that. You know, he didn't say another word to me. Didn't say nothing at all back at me. So I was cool with that. But that's not the end of that story, though. That same guy that was all CB Rambo, Johnny Rip, Big Rigger all over my ass, you know, screaming on the radio, because he's in a faster truck. I go out and down the road about another hour and a half, and guess who passes me again? Same guy, same truck. Go down the road about another hour and a half. Same guy, same truck, passed me again. He passed me 3 times in one night. Yeah, he's got a faster truck in his big hurry to go. But apparently he can't keep his left door shut. So even though he's Johnny Big Rigger in a faster truck, he ain't getting no more miles than I am. And I'm in a governed truck. So when old Johnny Big Rigger wants to give you a bunch of crap by being in a company governed truck, just take it with a grain of salt. And that's somebody that's hoisting themselves up upon their own petard. That's all that is. Anyway, I've rambled a whole lot longer than I normally do. Yeah, I've already been on here for over 20 minutes. I normally don't shoot videos that long. I'm just sitting here in the snow. I think I'll crawl back in there, turn the bunk heater on, get underneath the covers, call it a night. Well, God bless each and every one of y'all. Hope y'all have an absolutely blessed day. If there's anything that I can do to make your life a little easier or simpler or answer a question, don't hesitate to ask. Y'all have a good night. Bye-bye.